this thing on? Hello, hello. Welcome to Open Pike Night, the Strange New Worlds podcast where your personal logs are the prime directive. I'm your host, John T. Bolds, here tonight with some amazing guests on stage and in the studio to discuss Episode 9 of Strange New Worlds Season 3, Terrarium. I'm just going to say this is the episode that these three hosts have been asking for. We've been asking for an ORTEGAS episode now, and here we are 29 episodes into Strange New Worlds run, and we finally have our ORTEGAS episode. But I'm not the only host. Joining me tonight are my co-hosts, of course, the man who just lives the meaning of Mortegas, Jesse Bailey.
It's true, and in this episode, I found myself loving this Gorn character. I do have a big complaint, though. You know, if they had taken the time to set this episode on Galorndon Core, then we could have gotten to see the forlorn Gorn's torn adornments on Galorndon Core.
We'll just take a moment of silence for that one. I mean, laughter for that one. And of course, as always, our co-host, the man who wanted Mortegas, but also wanted more space guts. And boy, he got those in this episode. Here is Cameron Harrison, host of Green Shirt, a newbie's trek through the next generation.
Oh, yeah, we just have a gornucopia of EU in this episode in the best way possible.
Absolutely. And like I said before, we had several wonderful callers, 16 calls tonight. Folks wanted to call in and share their thoughts about, honestly, what Open Pike Night has been embodying for 3 years, which is Ortegas. And here we are in a terrarium, tapping on the glass and trying to drop crickets in to see if they'll eat it. Right?
I can't believe none of us figured out what this episode was about before we saw it. Like, a terrarium is a box with a lizard in it. Like, we should have been like, oh.
Well, it was funny, halfway through, I was like, why is this called Terrarium? I don't get it. They should have called it Hegemony Mine.
Oh, damn.
Well, come on, Jesse.
Come
on.
Good.
It's no Forlorn Gorn's Torn Adornments, but it's pretty good. And I have
it's not.
I have my own enemy mine joke to play later because I'll state this right here at the top. I've never seen Enemy Mine. Like,
okay.
I have only absorbed the plot of that movie through various Star Trek episodes. So,
well, I definitely didn't spoil a point for you there. Right there.
I know the entire plot. Like, you're good.
Speaking of puns, Jesse, and because I don't want to have to steal it from you later, I want to give you full credit. Do we want to name the Gorn right now?
I'm calling her Gorntegas because
Gorntegas.
She is the Gorn version of Ortegas. She's flies the ship.
Explanation not needed.
She's very cool. Like, to me, I love her. And I'm now in a fight with La'an.
Is doomed to die by the end of the series. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Just like, anyway, hopefully none of our callers are doomed to die by the end of the series.
Terrible transition.
If you can't tell tonight, all of us are a little out of sorts. Cam's in through a wormhole in some other location. Our buddy Sincera tried calling in and sending a message. It was just dead silent. Like, I don't know what's going on this week with our communication.
On the other side of the wormhole.
Yeah.
I thought I would have to be eating centipedes to survive because our friend and frequent caller Marcy took me mushroom hunting in the woods.
Ooh.
And I went where I did not think a human would be possible to traipse. And we traipsed there. And somehow we made it back, but I am a little punch drunk, so.
You're not supposed to eat those mushrooms before you get back.
I don't know anything. I was trusting her with my life in so many ways.
Well, I mean,
it's Marcy. That's what you do.
I was going to say, if you have to pick somebody to trust your life with, Marcy's a good pick.
No, I felt good about it, yeah.
I
didn't have to eat a centipede.
And if we had to pick somebody to trust our show with, I'd say it'd be one of our trusty, loyal callers. Should we hear from one of them?
Please.
All right. Let's start out with Grayson.
Hey guys, it's Grayson at TV Guy Grayson on the socials and occasional contributor to Trek 365. The AR wall has never looked better. I was fully believing that planet. The only question I have about the episode is why was Ericus so hungry? Like, she was there like overnight? Maybe overnight? Why would she succumb to eating raw pus-filled bug? I mean, it would have been days for me before I would eat raw pus-filled bug. But other than that, I really can't find fault with this. What I'm really here to say is thank you guys and congratulations on Strange New Words. The interviews that you're getting with the men and women who write these stories are so good and they add so much color to these episodes. I make it a point, of course, to watch the episode first before I listen to your interview, and then I watch again after, and it makes me feel so much more connected to the material. It makes me like stuff that I thought I didn't like. For example, I love the fact that Alan pointed out that Vasquez rocks are visible in the distance on this episode, which confirms that it's the same planet from Marina. I would not have noticed that. There are a lot of details that I miss and nuance that I don't see on first watch. And for that, I really want to thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to not miss those things thanks to your interviews. Okay, guys, thanks.
It's a little known fact that ORTEGAS, in addition to bringing a piece of paper to make a paper airplane with for luck, fasts for 3 days before a mission. So,
well, I took that as we learn in this episode, ORTEGAS not good at chess because she is a solve the problem directly in front of me style person. And she knows, look, I have to solve this food problem now because if it ends up being a long time until I get rescued, I need to know what I can rely on. It's not necessarily that she was super hungry. It's that she was very desperate to find a source of food and figured, all right, well, I better see if this works because if not, I'm totally skunked. But I also want to thank you.
We later found out she had a little portable stove with her. So why she didn't be like, okay, thanks, I'm going back to my ship now with this food source and my stove.
Because, Cameron, that's not how you connect with somebody who eats their food raw and just saved your life. Like, obviously. It's a cultural exchange going on here. But I want to say thank you to Grayson for the full-throated endorsement of our Strange New Words series. And I have to, despite everything in me telling me that I shouldn't, give props to Cameron. That was his idea. And he has been doing like 85% of the lifting on that entire thing. So thank you, Cameron, and thank you, Grayson. And I'm glad that it's having the intended effect. That's kind of why we're doing them. We want people not necessarily to change their minds, but if that's an effect of you understanding where the writers are coming from, then I think that's really cool. I think that's probably the most we could ask for as a result from those episodes.
A deeper appreciation for sure. And yes, thank you to you both. Hearing people's responses like you, Grayson, and the people commenting on the videos that they are getting a lot out of these is definitely encouraging because it's a lot of work.
Yeah. It is. There's been people saying like Paramount should hire you guys to be the new Ready Room, and I'm like, maybe we'll just do it on our own.
I will also say we do have episode 4 still coming with Kat and Dana. It's in the can. It's half edited. We're hoping to have it out before the finale, and we will also be talking with Onitra at some point and getting her thoughts on her 2 episodes after the finale sometime.
And who knows? Maybe there's a bonus interview or 2 coming up. Just keep your eyes on your feed.
And we are always still reaching out and working on more interviews because we have a whole nother year till more Strange New Worlds comes out. So we love our callers. We love our listeners. I'm betting everybody who's hearing this episode listened to Strange New Words, but if not, please definitely go listen. You should listen to every episode we make. If you listen to one episode we make, it's kind of a package deal.
But if you didn't hear me tell Alan that I legit think that bug eating scene is one of the grossest eating gross food in a movie ever. Because usually they do something that makes it look kind of cheesy or gooey or gummy in a way that is kind of appealing. Eating those weird, yes, and the pus out the no.
And agreed, Grayson, on the AR wall. Amazing, best use of it that I've seen in this series so far, honestly. And hey, if I don't get to see engineering all season because they're spending the money on this episode's AR wall, I'm happy to make that sacrifice. I have more fun in the science lab anyway.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and hear from another caller. Here is Katrin.
Hi, Open Piking. I loved the last episode. Melissa was fantastic as ORTEGAS. Since I grew up with TNG, I felt a strong Darmok vibe while watching. I didn't see any connection to Arena until the very end of the episode, but honestly, I think this one was even better. It felt much more Star Trek-y to me. Two enemies overcoming prejudice, bonding over board games, and working together. Very different to the Arena story, in my opinion. And just as Alan McElroy said in Your Strange New Worlds, I really fell for the Gorn. I especially loved that she turned out to be a female pilot. And I was furious at La'an for shooting her. Didn't it occur to her that Erica would have been dead already if the Gorn had truly been evil? Also, the scenes on the Enterprise were fantastic. Thanks again for your podcast. Greetings from Katrin.
Completely agree. This Gorn pilot is one of my favorite characters. Interestingly, though, this is not her first role on screen. She was previously in a movie called Top Gorn, where she learns how to fly fighter jets in enemy territory, and then later on connects with her enemies through a game of beach volleyball.
It sounds like she's a little typecast.
Yeah.
But if you're good at what you do, keep doing that.
True.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how Gorn and Goose go together for a wingman name. Yeah.
But I agree. Like, so mad at La'an right now. Like, she didn't think even a little bit, right? Like, clearly they were in a very enclosed space together, and neither of them came out of that like scared or bloodied beyond, like, you know, whatever their injuries already were. But there was no signs that they were like in a fight right before they came out of this very small shelter together. Do not like, very angry with La'an, but I think the point is that prejudice kind of gets solved one person at a time, right? And not all at once. So Erica had this experience and it allowed her to confront her own preconceptions, but La'an didn't have those experiences. So she still thinks that the Gorn look at humans as prey, which Erica knows not to be true, but La'an doesn't know that that's not true.
I mean, in La'an's defense, the last time she shot a Gorn that close to Erica, it had its fist halfway up her throat. So, I mean, there's that. She had no context. Everyone's like, oh, they're in this small hole. She doesn't know there could be a cave behind there or a tunnel. She doesn't know what's going on. Erica did look scared when she came out. She was gasping and looking around all wild, and the Gorn comes running up and grabs her shoulder. I do wonder why they even had phasers with them, the phaser rifles.
Thank you. Why are they armed for bear?
Why are they expecting that?
They didn't say we're sensing a Gorn life sign on the planet. They just showed up armed to the teeth to rescue her.
I'll tell you why, and it hurts me to say this, but as a security officer, La'an is a cop. And you know what they say about all cops, right?
But we have seen away missions go not armed, not fully loaded, not weapons raised, especially when you're just rescuing someone from a desolate moon.
But when La'an goes on an away mission, people bring the big phasers.
All right, I'm going to go back and look.
Yeah. The only thing I could be like, okay, I don't know. Maybe it was a Metron thing. Maybe they wanted to introduce this, this X factor and see. I could see that. It wasn't explained. It wasn't, but it definitely, it snagged me every time I watched the episode. Like, why she got a gun ready?
She could have set that to stun.
La'an's got a gun. Or be on stun. Yeah, 100%.
They have a stun setting.
I mean, maybe Gorn-Tegas was injured enough that the stun took her out. I don't know, but yeah.
Maybe.
I'm like, that was setting number one.
Like
I thought Gorn were a lot tougher.
Wait, and someone pointed this out in our Discord. Didn't they have special Gorn weapons that they needed like a key to unlock to get to?
Yep.
Which tells me that La'an has that key and is always carrying that gun because she has clearly not gotten over her Gorn encounter like we thought she had.
Well, see, she used to be scared of the Gorn, and now she's hoping she sees the Gorn around every corner.
Right.
She's like, oh, I know I can defeat them now.
Yeah, she's like, she was a high school bully and then found out as an adult you can't just bully people. So she went to the police academy and got her badge.
Look, the only way to stop a bad guy with a Gorn is a good guy with a Gorn, okay?
It's like when you start Fallout 3 and you don't want to go anywhere near the Deathclaws at first. You're always running. But once you level up and you take out your first Deathclaw, you're like, I'm headed there and seeing how many I can collect.
If you talk about video games enough in this episode, Cameron, I will turn my microphone off and go play Silk Song. Like, do not tempt me. This game just came out.
More video game references coming up.
I'm so excited to play Silk Song.
All right. Well, let's hear from another caller before we get too far down the video game path. Here is Newman.
Newman the Space Hippie from the Movies for Days podcast. Let's light this candle. Talk about getting what you asked for and then some. I asked for more serious and more Ortegas. Y'all, this might have been the most serious and the most Ortegas. This episode was an emotional roller coaster for me. It really put me through the ringer. At first, I'm thinking, oh snap, it's going to be Ortegas doing Castaway on a moon whose orbit is crashing into a gas giant. Are you kidding me with the sci-fi terror? Loved it. But then it becomes all Darmok, Jalad, and Tanagra over here as she's facing down past trauma arena style. I loved how, as the danger was rising, we found out this wasn't just any moon. This was like a pitch black planet where freaky bugs are coming out of the ground to come at you when the timing is right. I loved how, at the end, Ortegas puts the token that she had from the chess game, sort of representing a sister, next to the picture of Beto, her brother. I love that Ortega's working with her hands on her space-age motorcycle thing, kind of fueled how she was able to create the water condenser out of all the stuff on the busted shuttlecraft. La'an and the security team killing the Gorn friend pilot that she had made was so gut-wrenching, but it was absolutely the only way things were going to realistically go down. And we only get one more of these before another big break? Cry face emoji. Newman the Space Hippie out.
Fully agree, Newman. Like, this season conditioned me to be so freaking nervous all the way through the opening credits of this episode. Like, oh, we're starting with an Ortegas log. That's a bad sign. Oh, now she's missing. That's a bad sign. I'm like, if they do this off screen, I will literally stop watching this show. That's
Jesse,
all there is to it.
We know she's in season 4.
I know, but we can't pretend that I'm a rational person. Like, you guys know me. I watch this very emotionally. I am completely immersed every time. Watching the first episode was so hard because I was like, wait a minute, they're going to kill her. And then I was like, no, she was in the trailer later on. I know she's still filming. Like, I had to repeatedly remind myself of that.
Newman does, I mean, on a lot of our callers tonight, and everybody who watched this episode compares it to a lot of other episodes and a lot of movies and a lot of other just stories. And I'm curious, like, how far back do you have to go where you could watch something? I mean, when people watched Arena for the first time, where they're like, oh, this is like, some 1920s, silent film or some classic novel or who knows what. I'm sure, Ahab and the Whale, who knows? But it is interesting how much it colors the way we watch things because we start thinking about other stories we've seen like this while we're watching. And I'm glad we got the chance to watch this early as a screener and then have had the time to digest this story before we talk about it because it does evoke a lot of other Star Trek alone, let alone non-Star Trek properties. And I'm glad because Newman made like 4 references in there. Like, yeah, there are like 50 references in this whole episode.
Yeah, I mean, I like this episode a lot, but there are things and it's not always its fault. It's a TV show, but The Martian is literally one of my top 20 favorite movies of all time. And so when I immediately start comparing it to The Martian, it's not fair that I'm comparing it to The Martian. That's one of the best movies of all time, but it's not quite The Martian. So when it's doing it and it's kind of only just going through the motions, I'm like, that's where I'm like, okay, it's good, but like Newman brought up Castaway and Jesse had mentioned Castaway and the I Made Fire line. And I don't think the I Made Water line works as well here because in Castaway, we see him suffer trying to make that fire. We see him gash his arm open. He fails repeatedly. And that's why when it happens, it's such a thing. She kind of makes water on her first try. It seemed pretty easy. So the victory didn't feel as big.
She's a highly trained Starfleet officer, not a FedEx package deliveryman.
And that's why the emotional payoff isn't as big.
I
disagree. He was a logistics expert. Thank you very much. He was not just a deliveryman.
Well, but his last name was Deliveryman, so that's probably why I got those confused. But my thing is, like, I disagree that
Chuck
it's not
Nolan,
as...
by the way, if you think I didn't know that.
Right.
Wow. We got a Castaway nerd here.
I don't think that it's less satisfying because for me, this is part and parcel of the Star Trek competency porn. We want to see competent characters be competent. We know Erica is a rock star. She gets to be a rock star all the way through this episode. And I'm just going to say it. This episode is proof that she's better than Kirk. And I'm happy to be the person to bring that to light for people.
And Tom Hanks, apparently.
Yeah. She could have landed that plane from Sully too.
As seen in this episode, apparently not.
No, I just want the cut where, you know, he gives the "nobody warned us" speech, and then Ortegas just still lands the plane. Like, yeah. We had one pilot who just did it really well, so Sully, you're going to jail. Yeah.
But Cam, I also think it's another part of what I was saying to John, where it's like she knows what the problems will be, and those are the first few things she's able to control, right? Because she knows she can't get herself off of this planet, so she's like, okay, what can I control? I can control my own survival, and that's water and food. Water takes precedence over food, so I'm going to start there. So I really liked that scene. I'm sure there are valid criticisms to be had about this episode. I will personally not hear them. They will just bounce directly off of me.
Justin's going to be like, this episode was 30 minutes long, guys. What a short recording.
Yeah. The main problem with what all the stories that it does compare itself, you know, it gets compared to is that it's an episode of a show. It's not a movie. And it gets compared to a lot of good movies. Yeah. The Martian segment of this episode is like 5 minutes long, and then we're on to the enemy mine and the survival. So that's what it suffers from.
And I feel like once it gets to enemy mine, it gets like, I don't want to say much better because I like the Martian stuff fine. It just, it didn't pop the same way, but it did feel like it started popping when they got to the enemy mine stuff. But even then it felt like a little bit on fast forward because it's a 50-minute episode. 5 minutes is Castaway. 10 or 15 minutes is what's happening on the ship. So like, she kind of gets over her trauma really quick with the Scorn.
It's fast.
She's healing her mortal enemy pretty quick into the relationship.
That is her one option for survival. It doesn't start as her going, I'm going to make friends. It starts as her going, this is my only option right now, right? Like, and this is actually interesting because I've seen people over the last couple of weeks being like, I really hope next episode has this, or I hope it has that. And it feels like they forgot about the Battelle storyline, or they forgot about the ORTEGAS storyline. And I'm like, are you asking for Discovery? Because that's Discovery, where you get a little bit of every character's current plot in every episode and the overarching. This is episodic TV. Like, you're supposed to, like, be able to kind of watch them on their own. Spoiler alert. You can watch this episode whenever the hell you feel like it. You don't even need the rest of the season as long as you watch the recap at the start of this episode. And I think that's a strength of it. Also, I love this episode.
I don't really even need the recap. You just need to know that they're enemies of the Gorn. That's it.
Yeah.
And that's you would probably...
the one fact you need.
You'd probably get that through context, even if you didn't watch the recap. That's a good call, Cam.
In fact, it kind of works better because, again, like, if her whole thing is that she is, like, traumatized by the Gorn, she's like healing the Scorn within an hour of meeting it.
Well, she's better than La'an at recovery, so.
Well,
all right, well, I'm pretty good at recovery myself, so I'm going to say let's go ahead and let's hear from another caller. Let's hear from Michelle.
Hey, Open Pike Night. Hashtag ORTEGAS! I am so excited we finally got this episode. And kudos to you all for creating the groundswell with the fans with that hashtag that I think helped producers see that we love the character of ORTEGAS and Melissa Navia, and we wanted to see more of her. I love that ORTEGAS was figuring things out, creating water, creating fire, and then her poignant relationship with the Gorn, which was impressive because Melissa Navia was basically acting against a person in a rubber animatronic suit the entire time. Very Jim Henson workshop-y, and I thought it really worked. Also, Uhura in this episode, to see her friendship with Spock developing, which I loved when I watched TOS as a kid, is so gratifying. But her relationship with Ortegas, that end scene, everything about it has my heart. Loved her in this episode. Pike piloting the ship, awesome.
Yes.
And look, I'm going to defend Una a little bit here because, vaccines save lives, and that was an important mission. I don't think it was anything personal. I just think Una was doing her job. This episode really reminded me of a lot of TNG episodes. So my Crusher connection this week is, of course, Remember Me, where Beverly was trapped in the warp bubble and had to figure out how to get out. Very solid episode for that character. I think it delivered the same with Ortegas here. And finally, who doesn't love the full circle callback to Arena and the Metrons? As a TOS fan, it was great. So live long and prosper.
Love it, Michelle. And the only thing I'll disagree with you on is Una. All of my notes for this episode are in capital letters. My first Una note says, Una, shut up. No one cares about the schedule. If you're that worried about it, get in a shuttle and take it there yourself. What is your problem?
Yeah, why don't they have vaccine torpedoes? Vaccines don't have to just send them at high warp on their vaccines. They're not big.
It's cargo.
There's a lot of vaccines and they've got to be kept at a certain temperature.
Yeah, so send a science vessel. Now what I did like about this B story is that we get a name drop of Captain Decker and the Constellation from the Doomsday Machine episode of TOS. My only other thing here is we could have had him sending constant communiques hey, we really need that stuff. Would you mind? Are you on schedule? What's going on? Because all this episode did for me was reinforce my anger at Una. And we'll get further into it because later on, she's like, hey, I care if we save her. And it's if you have to say that part out loud, you have screwed up. You should not have to convince people that you care about an officer that you serve with.
Look, Jesse, someone has to be the adult in the room, okay? Now, everyone wets their panties over the needs of the many until the few is a character you really love, okay? But Una is keeping the needs of the many in mind. And my heart always goes out to that character in any TV show where everyone else around them is acting like, oh yeah, we're in Star Trek. Oh, Melissa's on the top of the cast list. She is savable, okay, guys? We just have to do the right thing. And of course we're going to save her because Ortegas is the main character. And this is Star Trek. Have you seen Star Trek? People fly in and out of wormholes all the damn time. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Una, sadly, has to be the one person acting as if any of this is happening in real life and going, did you guys see the blip disappear into the mysterious wormhole? The chances anyone is alive is nil, okay? What in what universe are we going to be able to find her?
The Star Trek universe.
Someone's got to do that. And, well, yes.
Cameron,
yes.
There was a whole ass TOS movie about how sometimes the needs of the one outweigh the needs of the many. And Spock was on the receiving end of that. If this were Spock, would you be complaining? Una just has it out
Jesse,
for Erica.
There have been
That's
a
all
whole
there is
ass
to it.
Star Trek, the entire story of Star Trek where Spock is the most important person.
Right.
It has been stated Spock is the most important character ever in the Star Trek universe.
And despite that,
so one character that phrase doesn't apply to.
Despite Pike knowing that, he's like, I'm going to risk him anyway because I have to save Erica. Pilots do not leave each other behind. Maybe Una just doesn't have flight training. Anyway, the point
he also
is
knows he doesn't die here. So,
right.
I mean,
exactly.
That's true.
He doesn't know he saves Ortegas, but he knows he does not die here.
What it boils down to is that after this episode, I am writing a movie called Una Me Mine because Una is my enemy and I need to relearn how to have sympathy for her.
Anyway, I love the whole B plot on the Enterprise. I thought it was great. I like how to Michelle's point that her is talking to Spock and she says something about you just got to have faith, which is exactly what Chapel told him in Hegemony, and he reacts the same way with all right, let's go with faith.
And what he told her in Through the Lens of Time. He's learning
that's right.
to be amongst the humans.
Well, let's get back amongst the humans who call into our show. Here is new caller to the Open Pike Night stage, Anthony.
What's up, everybody? This is first-time caller Anthony Kelly-Yip calling in from Hong Kong, where the only way to watch Paramount Plus is via a private network of transwarp conduits. And I've been lurking in the shadows pretty much all season, waiting for the perfect episode to call in about, or rather, waiting for my favorite episode of the season.
Yes.
And I think this is it. I was thoroughly engaged in Erica's story from beginning to end. Part of that is because of the danger that she finds herself in, but also because of the fact that it's her in danger. And not that I would wish harm on any of the Strange New Worlds crew, but I'm definitely more worried when it's an Ortegas, a Number One, a La'an, or even Ensign Gamble. Poor Ensign Gamble. Because we don't know what's going to happen to any of these characters by the time TOS rolls around. I spent the first half of the episode desperately hoping that it wouldn't be another Project Daedalus. Thank goodness it wasn't. It was something else. It was the episode that had me almost hoping for a Gorn wedding. No, I knew that we wouldn't get that. And I kind of guessed that our Gorn pilot wouldn't be leaving the planet. That said, I think the episode was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Here's hoping that next week's episode will be just as good. Thank you very much for this wonderful show and this wonderful community. Catch you later.
Thank
Welcome
you
to the
so
Open
much.
Pike Night stage, Anthony. Yeah.
What a great first call. And I'm immediately best friends with you. That's so exciting for me. I completely agree with you. Like, I was having so many emotions and I was so locked on the screen. Like, Melissa Navia's performance in this episode is not something that I was surprised by. It was just something I was so grateful to finally get a chance to watch. Like, she can carry an episode on her own and they're letting her do it. But I was so up and down. Like, one of my notes is, you did not strand my pilot with a Gorn. And then my next note is, I love you, Gorn Stranger, and I would do anything for you. So it was like very up and down for me. Like, what is going to happen? I know that worry that you're talking about. I share that worry. And I'm, nobody is surprised by this. But yeah, this is also my favorite episode of the season. This is probably my favorite episode of the show. Like, there are other episodes that could probably be argued to have a bigger impact on the series, and I probably wouldn't argue against that, but this is still my favorite one.
This is what we as Open Pike Night have been asking for since very early on in our show, and I am glad we got it. I'm glad we're finally here. I do hope we get another at least halfway Ortegas episode by the time this is out. I mean, we only have 17 more episodes. So, yeah. They gave us 20, it took 29 to get here. We got 17 more. Like, I know she's going to be there till they kill her. No, I won't put that out there, but it's
till she goes and lives among the Gorn.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Like,
she goes and finds Liz's family.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I called her Liz.
Liz. Yeah.
Another podcast coined that one, and it made its way into our Discord. I like both.
I had to stop listening to other podcasts. I'm like, I'm going to start stealing stuff from other hosts. So I got to go and listen to all my Terrarium episodes tomorrow. It is a good Ortegas episode. Like, if this is the one episode we get for Ortegas for this series, I'm satisfied with it. It's a good. She gets the screen all to herself, and it works.
Well, and let me ask you guys, because and I don't disagree with this, but what makes this more of an Ortegas episode than I Fly the Ship? Is it that this is the A plot and she was the B plot in that one? I mean, that's certainly a valid reason, but still, like,
well, so
she gets a big hero moment in that one.
Does, yeah.
For me, it incorporates everything that we know of her into a single episode. And yes, she's the A plot, and she's on screen for most of the episode. So, like, she's like, I fly a ship. You fly the ship? Oh, you fly a ship? That's so cool. I fly a ship. And her past actions actually get mirrored here. So when she decided to disobey Una's terrible orders to go save the crew earlier this season, she did it by, like, slightly adjusting the position of her pinky on the helm control to change how fast the ship was going. And Uhura does kind of the same thing here to falsify her data, where Pike's like, it needs to be at 61%. And she's like, oh, look at that. It's at 61%. Like,
I would love to see any data analysis software that just says a falsify this data.
I know. What? It wasn't Spock like right behind her.
Yes.
But so
it's
that
like,
moment,
Uhura,
though,
we've seen that there are cameras everywhere.
but that moment,
how do you think Pike knew?
I think Pike knew anyway. Right? Like,
immediately.
He knows as soon as she says that's not true, but he's like, you're right. We should just take every chance that we have.
Yeah.
Now, two things, and you all know how much I hate to admit that Jesse is right about something, but he's been saying that like Una's actions when Ortegas did her pinky move were not up to what Pike would have done. I'm like, no, I think Pike would have acted the same way. Apparently not, because he does not give a shit that Uhura straight up lied to him.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I will also point out, I think someone else fudged some data here too. And it's Una, because she says, we have hit the red line. Now, I don't know what red line means 300 years in the future, but right now it means you don't go past it, and they hit it, and then they hang out there for like 20 more minutes, getting Ortegas off the planet and beaming her back and doing all that. Before they leave. So I don't think that was I think she moved the red line up a little bit.
Well, you can stay at red line for a while. It's just very dangerous. It's like I'm a race car, Cameron, and right now you've got me in the red, okay? And all I'm saying is it's dangerous to have a race car in the red.
All right, Vincent.
Thank you.
That's exactly what I was going to. Also, have you guys not paid attention to American politics for the last 10 years? We have crossed so many red lines, it's not even funny.
That's true.
The original red lines, we can't even look behind us and see.
Well,
so in 300 years, red is just like a faint pink.
Well, a lot of folks have mentioned online and in our Discord that like part of Una's job is to offer alternatives, mention things that may not have been vocalized. And I completely agree with that. I get it. I just don't like her right now. We're in a fight. So I'm willing to eventually someday soften on Una, but like I really like there is part of me that can't let go of she got publicly humiliated at that trial, which she should not have to have gone through. It's not her fault that she's Illyrian, but it feels like she's afraid of breaking rules now. And like that's another thing that she has clearly not learned from Pike. Like, dude, you break the rules when you need to. Like, that's what being a leader is.
Yeah, but she's also the first officer. I mean, we see Riker have stances like this sometimes too. This isn't like out of character for a first officer, and it does. You need conflict. I mean, you need conflict, and who else on the ship is going to provide it in this situation?
You're right. If Una had a beard, I would be much more accepting of her point of view.
I just like that. Clearly, Ortegas has been down there for quite a while, and no one came to find her. So she was from a ship just full of lizard Unas, apparently. Iguanas?
Iguanas. Oh, my God. All right. Well, let's head out from Hong Kong and head over to the British Isles and hear from a couple callers. First up is Mags.
Hi, everybody. Mags here with my thoughts on the most recent episode. I've literally just finished watching it, so I think I'm still processing. That was a lot. I'm really glad that Erica got the chance to realise that being hurt is not the same as being irreparably broken. And I'm glad she got the chance to help Liz realise that as well. But gosh, I wish she had made it through. But I guess it was always going to end that way. So yeah, it was a very, very strong episode. So, okay, until next time, bye.
I was so emotionally wrecked at the end of this episode. I did not want Ortegas to die. I mean, as soon as it happened, I was like, I don't know what else. I mean, that's the way it had to happen for the episode. But man, like I've had some nitpicks I've told you about. I'm going to have some more I'm going to tell you about. But like what this episode was mainly trying to do hit me hard and worked really, really well. So, I mean, that whole relationship between them, just great.
Oh, well, now 3 things. I was going to say 2 things here, Cam. 3 things. Thing number 1, Erica and Ortegas, my favorite ship. I ship them officially. I hope they have a long, happy afterlife together.
They might crash that ship.
But not if Erica's flying it. Thing 2,
she crashed the ship.
The wormhole crashed the ship. Oh my! What are you? Oh God! But the other thing here, like yes, this episode I think is very, very good because, I mean, we've had a lot of people talk about how it reminded them of other things, and that's absolutely there. Even the writer was saying, yeah, I love Enemy Mine, etc. This episode doesn't need to be Star Trek to work or to be very good. If this were like a one-off episode of a sci-fi anthology show, it would absolutely work just as well. Now, here's the only thing that I thought might happen that would keep the Gorn captain alive. We know she is hobbled, which means she's moving slow, which means maybe she just gets stuck on this planet even after this, and then that's the Gorn captain that Kirk fights when he has his encounter. And it's not that far in the future, but we know that the planet's kind of doomed for currently for anybody who's still on it as it goes through the magnetosphere or whatever of this star that it's orbiting in a very strange way. So I was like, oh, it's going to be the Gorn captain. Then I was like, oh, actually, I think I'm going to cry at the end of this episode. And I was right. But I will say, I feel like that's a slightly more plausible theory than all the people online who are like, oh, Batel's going to become the Gorn captain that Kirk fights. And I'm like,
People
really? No, like there are people who are convinced, Cameron, and I think it's probably people who have an axe to grind with the writers. But I'm like the one time I tried to interrogate it, I was like, how do you suppose they would explain that? And the answer I got back was very non-committal. And I was like, okay, so this is either a bad theory or a theory that you don't really ascribe to.
I mean, yeah, I would have loved to have seen ORTEGAS join the crew and just have a Gorn walking around the ship every once in a while. But I do, and also I love how ORTEGAS basically pulled a chunk with Sloth. They were like, well, you can come live with me. It's okay. I know that your family's kind of terrible, so come join us. And it's probably the only time ORTEGAS will ever be compared to Chunk.
Is that Goonies?
That's the Goonies,
that's Goonies.
Oh, okay.
Jesse.
I haven't seen Goonies or Enemy Mine.
All right.
Wow.
Well,
Actually,
before this pops off, let's go ahead and hear from Lucy.
Hi, Open Pike Night. Lieutenant Lucy of London reporting on episode 9. Finally, ORTEGAS, fantastic. I've suffered from recency bias, I think, throughout the season, with the exception of the comedies. Each one I've ended thinking, oh, that might be my favourite episode. This time, I loved the animatronics. That Gorn was so wonderful. The music and the costumes really, really shone this episode. A few things. The Matt Decker reference blew my mind. I loved the chess and Gorn backgammon sequence. So poignant, so touching. Yes, maybe Darmok and maybe it's derivative, but I still really enjoyed it. The disagree, agree lines felt very Pike Beep Chair reminiscent and Menagerie, particularly when she said disagree, disagree, disagree. That's painful now. Really enjoyed the B plot. I would love to have seen Pike go down in a shuttle. It was still nice to see him in the pilot seat, but would have liked to see more Pike in this one. Still really enjoyed the dynamic with Una and Uhura and all of that. The Gorn, I feel utterly vindicated. The Metron talk about we need to reset your perceptions of the Gorn. And I've felt all along the showrunners are taking us on a journey as a prequel from not understanding the Gorn, seeing them as dangerous animalistic creatures to sentient beings. Loved it. Looking forward to more Pike now. Thank you.
Completely agree with everything you've said. And yeah, the physical, practical effects in this episode, so good. Like when the forlorn Gorn has her torn gornments over her head, I was like, this reminds me of the aliens from the beginning of The Fifth Element, where they've got like the big arched shoulders and the little head sticking out. And like, you can tell that it is a suit, but you're not mad at it. You're like, this is a beautiful suit. I love it. And it totally matches ORTEGAS style. Like Nomad Tegas is probably one of my top 3 favorite ORTEGASes. This whole episode, like, yes, the Darmok is there, but there are even fewer words than in Darmok. It's like the Geordi and the Romulan episode, except it's good. Like, I was very, very happy with this episode all the way through. There was nothing about it where I went, I wish I didn't know that was coming next. Because, it's the kind of story that you've seen. You know how the story is basically going to play out, but all of the beats worked for me. Like, I was tearing up when this Gorn costume put 2 fingers up and pointed to the sky. And I'm like, this is amazing. I give it all of the credit to Melissa Navia. She is underrated as an actor, and she did such good work in this episode that I was emotionally invested in a rubber monster suit, which another thing that I love about it is that it took that goofy rubber outfit from TOS and made it a thing I could feel something for. I understand that if you were young the first time you saw Arena, yeah, that was probably scary looking, right? Like, I get it. I mean, the Baylock is terrifying, even as an adult, but like, I was having so many feelings for this Gorn suit. I'm over the moon that's orbiting eccentrically.
I believe the Geordie Romulan episode is what gave us Galorndon Core, so just keep that in mind.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
Yep.
That's
It's also a pretty good episode.
It's a pretty good episode. It's not my favorite episode of TNG.
Well, no one's saying that.
I'm saying this is my
About
favorite
red
episode of
lines.
Strange New Worlds.
Why? How does seeing a helmet tell her she's a pilot? Ortega seems to know a lot about Gorn technology. She can identify a Gorn thruster pack. That just looked like a slab of metal to me.
Well,
She's
she
seeing a
flew
random
the Gorn
helmet.
ship.
Yeah, she
I don't
flew
know.
a Gorn ship.
I mean,
Sure.
yeah.
So there could have been one of those helmets in that ship. There could have been a thruster pack in that ship.
I don't think she was paying attention to that stuff at that time.
Well, she's much
She was
more
a little too
observant.
busy bleeding out from a Gorn.
She's much more observant than you think she is, Cameron.
Oh, perhaps.
She's a pilot. Yeah. Okay.
Look, pilot's no pilot.
Yeah. We need to establish this now here officially for all of Star Trek fandom. Was the Gorn fucking with her with eating the chess piece, the game piece?
I like to
Or was
think
that actually
so.
what Gorn do? Oh, I think she was fucking with her. Yeah.
I think so,
Yeah.
because like we know that they have their ship pre-digest their food. So
Yeah.
they're like, what version of that also incorporates eating rocks? Like,
Yeah.
Also, Melissa Navia, amazing acting in this episode. Erica Ortegas, not the best actor. That Gorn 100% knew she did not swallow that piece.
and that's more
But I
evidence.
do like that she told her to show her tongue. Like, that, I was like, okay, that's funny. Just that.
And I think that's how we know that the Gorn was messing with her, because it was like,
Yes.
all right, I got to let you go
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah. We will talk about the Metrons and that line. I think we need to save that a little bit more for the end, though. Let's
Okay,
round
yeah.
out our tour of the UK with Sarah.
Hi guys, it's Sarah
Slash
/
Doug.
Doug.
Yep.
Guys, is it 1991 and I'm watching Star Trek in my tie-dye t-shirt? Because this is old school. This is classic Trek. This is wonderful. And I know it's supposed to be all the arena vibes, but honestly, it gives me so much Temba, his arms wide, and I'm absolutely here for it. And I want to take a quick moment to celebrate that if it really was 1991, there wouldn't be a female pilot and another female pilot and a woman on the ship solving the problem. And the ladies are leading this episode. And that is wonderful. Because in 1991, it would be a boy, another boy, a boy, another boy. So I'm here for all the ladies. And one last thing, did anybody else get Dark Crystal vibes from the wonderful practical effects on that Gorn? Because I loved it. I'm here for the practical effects. Thanks, guys.
Hey, to be fair, in Enemy Mine, it's a boy and not a bisexual,
Not
duals.
Yeah.
He's got both organs.
Yeah.
She's got, but wait, I just said he, so kind of, it's a male actor. No, you're 100% right. 100%.
And it's not like, it's Louis Gossett Jr. Like, before, previously, and I mean, still some would say like a pretty manly man, like Louis Gossett Jr. Nobody's ever been like, he's kind of ladylike.
We're not talking about like the actor who played Raw in Stargate.
Yeah. It was really nice to see that it was a female character led episode, but honestly, I didn't even think about that until I heard Sarah's call. Like, oh yeah, it really was. All the main players are amazing female characters on this show, and
Yeah,
they were
Pike's
freaking
basically just going along with what everyone else is saying. He's like, okay, Hera, let's do what you say.
Yeah.
Like he even checks in with her before he agrees to start pulling out.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only Pike note I had for the whole episode was, oh, Pike is at the helm, be still my beating heart. Like, he does the thing that matters, but it's not an episode about him. And he's like one of several people solving this problem. And I completely agree. I love that we can have a show like this that has so many female leads and is willing to let them do so much and is doing it in a way that feels organic. Again, I will mention the scene in Avengers Endgame where they're like, and here for some reason are all the lady heroes. Like, these are great characters. You didn't have to just put them next to each other and then be like, check it out. Like, we love those characters. Let them be naturally, acting on screen. But yeah, I'm over the moon for this episode, as I've said several times. There's nothing about it that I was upset with. Uhura, we get another prayer scene in this episode.
We get another prayer. We get 2 prayers in one season of Strange New Worlds. Yeah.
And it's like, again, I think it is handled so well. It's not some writer going, you really should be having a conversation with God in your own life. It's going, sometimes people rely on this kind of thing when they have no other answers. Like, that's what faith is, right?
This is how desperate these characters are in this moment.
Right. And I feel like it's been handled well. It's been handled respectfully. It's so good. It's so good. And I mean, this just like doesn't really fit anywhere, but I have to call it. I totally called that this was the Metrons before we found out it was the Metrons. I was like, there's only one answer here. Because partway through the episode, I realized it's called Terrarium. That means somebody is watching these two. Who would do that? There is one answer to that question. And I love a story where I feel like I'm half a step ahead of what is being told to me, not 5 steps ahead, because then I'm like, well, I'm kind of bored. But when I'm half a step ahead, I feel like I'm part of the story and that I'm right there with Erica, cheering her on and just loving ORTEGAS. I hope that someday we get to acknowledge Erica is better than Kirk, and she was the first to make peaceful contact.
Well, she still has to punch Kirk too, right?
And La'an. And
like Newman said in the last episode, like she still owes Kirk a punch.
Yes. She owes several
La'an
punches.
has, Uhura has, yeah.
If you go to make a withdrawal at the Bank of ORTEGAS, you better bring bandages.
All right, well, let's hear from another caller. Here is Trev.
Hey, it's Trev beaming in from the Fair Little Franchise podcast, and oh, sorry, I was starting to slip into some Drac there from Enemy Mine. No idea why that came to mind. Seriously, though, we could ding this for essentially just copying that cult classic, but hey, my favorite episode of Season 1 was a pretty clear Aliens homage. So, I wouldn't have an infected Gorn leg to stand on if I tried to complain about that now. What ultimately matters is how well you honor your influences. To that, let me just quickly say I do think this episode probably would have made more thematic sense and maybe even worked a little better if it was La'an stranded on the planet, paying off a lifetime of Gorn trauma instead of just a few episodes of it we barely got into with Erica. I'm not sure this really felt like it was paying off the seeds sown at the start of the season, with Pike noticing a disturbed Erica leaving the party or Una suspending her for reckless behavior. Terrarium could have played out exactly the same without those elements, as Erica's responses throughout were arguably totally in character for any crew member encountering and having to trust a Gorn, past trauma or not. That said, the episode on its own merits still totally worked. Not surprisingly, Melissa totally rocked it when given the showcase episode we've all been waiting to see. I bought into the relationship with the Gorn and was invested in their burgeoning friendship and its tragic resolution. And yeah, I liked the Metron's callback at the end. Strange New Worlds has been at its best this season whenever it just leans into TOS or TNG style straight-ahead classic sci-fi storytelling without worrying about gimmicks or cutesy genre experimentation, and this one was no exception. But now that we've had our ORTEGAS episode, let's hope the finale finally puts some focus back on Pike, who has largely been feeling like a supporting character this season.
Yeah, Trev, I mean, I'm kind of right there with you. Like, it is a great episode, but you're not wrong, which kind of goes back to what I was saying before, which is like, yeah, anyone facing the Gorn on this moon would have reacted the same way. Like, it didn't feel that connected to ORTEGAS' trauma. And you bring up a point which I hadn't even thought, which it is kind of weird that, like, La'an's big backstory has been Gorn, traumatized by the Gorn for 2 seasons. And then we kind of just handed that to ORTEGAS, and now she's the one dealing with it here. Like, it would have made sense that like her first, let the La'an's first kind of overcoming of her trauma was learning to like not be scared of the Gorn, to realize like she saves people now. She doesn't have to feel guilty for what she went through before, but she still hasn't made peace with the Gorn. And so like actually having to befriend one wouldn't feel like the same arc to me. Like it would feel like another step in her journey. So yeah, 100% like, oh, we're just going to kind of pass the Gorn trauma onto a new character for this episode. Did feel a little weird. I am glad they did kind of go a different direction than what we were thinking, which is like, oh, she's going to break orders again and have to like go confront Starfleet or something. Like I was kind of stealing myself for that episode, and I'm glad that's not what happened. I do really like this one a lot.
Okay, except we know this episode wouldn't work with La'an because she would just kill the Gorn in its sleep. She would not take the time to become friends. She would not trust her instincts beyond...
That's what's... would make it meaningful, as she would be forced to have to do those things.
No, she would kill the Gorn.
It would have taken more than 2 scenes for her to befriend the Gorn.
She would kill the Gorn and take its resources. She's not ready to heal because Erica is better than she is.
I do love how the Gorn, the first time I watched it, I was like, why is the Gorn asleep? Its enemy is right here. Does she not care? And then after you watch it, like the second time, I was like, oh, that Gorn is like, I am fucking tired.
Yeah.
Like either I'm going to befriend this thing or it's going to kill me. And either way, it's a plus for my current situation. So I'm here for it. I'm also, it just warms my heart how many people are making the enemy mine connection. I did not realize that was as well known as apparently is.
Yeah. I mean, I even said it in our, when you were talking about maybe finding a guest, I'm like, well, who do we know who's been in an enemy mine situation?
And I also just have to point out, I did in the Strange New Words, I'm a big fan of Hell on the Pacific, which I don't know if I assume Enemy Mine is kind of a direct remake, but that is a very common trope of being stuck stranded somewhere with your mortal enemy. But go seek that out. It's a World War II classic. It's a great film.
Oh man, they could have done like a Gorn the Beach, where it was Ortegas and La'an who crash landed, and Ortegas starts befriending the Gorn, but La'an keeps getting more emo and disconnected, and Ortegas has to reach out to her.
Look,
actually, I
think I just wrote a really good episode. Not
suddenly
nearly as
everyone
good
is happy.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna say it. La'an has had enough episodes. Stay out of this.
Yeah,
this is Erica's episode.
She got to time travel.
Belongs to
You're
her.
not wrong. You're not wrong.
All right, we have 7 more calls, so let's go ahead and hear.
I think I have 7 more notes, so 1 note per call. Got it.
All right. Here is Que Sera, Sarah.
Hey, Open Pike Night. This is Que Sera, Sarah. Hot damn wahoo. More Tegas.
Yes.
Wow. I suspected Melissa Navia was capable of so much, but holy cow, she just blew this performance out of the water. I am in awe. I am so much looking forward to your interview with her because I want to hear all about the making of this episode from her perspective. Loved it. That's all I have time to say. Everyone take care of yourselves. Be safe. Do your best to be sane.
Que Sera, the scene at the end, Erica in the sunshine with her little ships and this Gorn game piece. If she doesn't get to become captain and handpick her successor as the Enterprise pilot, I'm going to be very upset.
I do wonder if we're going to see more Ortega-centered episodes or plot lines after this, after everyone's like, oh, yeah, she can carry her own episode. Let's throw some more stuff at her.
Yeah.
I hope so. I think so. I suspect season 4 will have more Ortegas.
Well, and
I certainly hope so.
If they're paying any attention to fan reaction, which, like, I think there's an argument both ways, right? Like, there's the argument of, like, don't worry about that. Make the show you want to make, right? But there's also, like, wow, everybody hated episode 7 and 8. Like, but they really seem to enjoy this episode 9 with Melissa Navia in the spotlight. Maybe let's do another one of those. I could see either thing happening, but I'm not in that space of having hated the last 2 episodes, but I do wonder if this episode is getting some of the benefit of that, of people being like, I was so upset, did not like the last 2 episodes. This one feels much more like the blanket they put on you at the end of a police procedural, like regardless of what your trauma is. There's nothing that I can say that will convince people that those last 2 episodes were good. But what I like about this episode is that it doesn't appear that I even need to attempt to convince people that this episode was really good. Even the people that are like, it's derivative, or I felt this way or that way, nobody is coming in here saying like, yeah, it was a nothing episode.
I don't know if you've been reading our Discord, Jesse, but
I legitimately have taken a break from reading other people's opinions and just waiting to hear them on this show.
Yeah. Also, Que Sera Sera, hopefully you enjoyed the Melissa Navia episode. All right, let's hear from another caller. Here is Mishi.
Hi guys, this is Michi, and this episode got a lot better after the second viewing, after I got over my first disappointment of the story. I don't know, but homage episodes or reboots just never seem to work for me. They are just too predictable to be captivating. But in my second viewing I concentrated on all the things I do love about this episode, and there are many things. I really enjoyed the friendship between Erika and Uhura. It was building from the pilot episode and reached a new high in this one. Melissa totally rocks this episode. She is so good and believable. It makes her character even more lovable. And the Gohan was amazing. There was so much detail. I just loved them. But I might be the only one who finds the baby Gohan cute and cuddly. Unfortunately, we don't see much of Pike in this episode. But what we see of him, it was great. Him taking care of his crew, refilling their coffee mugs, making sure everyone has what they need to do their best work, comforting and mentoring Uhura. He simply is the best captain ever. I hope the next episode has more Pike in it, and I'm still waiting for a Pike ORTEGAS episode. They have such a great chemistry. That's it for me. Have a great day.
So we had a lot of people who were clamoring for Pike, and I mean, it's not wrong. He's the captain of this starship, and he hasn't been around a lot this season.
They like Pike?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hear that, and it's not incorrect. But I've been clamoring for Erika ORTEGAS. Like, I'm fine. Like, and like I said earlier, Pike still got to be very important in this episode. And he got to be the kind of leader that we like, not the kind of leader that Una is. And I have to agree with you on Uhura. Like, I have always loved Uhura, but I now owe Uhura everything. She is the reason we still have ORTEGAS, and I love Uhura for that for the rest of my life.
Speaking of ORTEGAS and Pike, do you guys not feel maybe there was a little too much dialogue that was purely for the audience's sake in this episode? I understand you're going to get a lot of that in this genre, and I also agree that ORTEGAS is a great person to convey that because she would talk to herself a lot, but there were a few times that went a little over when she basically explains exactly what the battery device was for and how it went down. I feel like she could have just said, "Oh, I've killed us," because everything she said I was not tracking, and afterwards it didn't really matter that much. I just had to know that was important. And even the Pike moment, as soon as we came back and saw him in the pilot's chair, I was like, "Oh yeah, because he's a test pilot. Of course he'd be flying right now." And then he says, "I'm the second best pilot on the ship," which is something they would have said before he sat down in that chair. It felt a little like, okay, we get it.
And I think that's why Una had her line afterward, because the writers were like,
that line's good. And his reaction.
We have to have him say this for the people who look at their phones while they're watching Star Trek. But,
yes.
Yeah.
I know not everyone watches Star Trek professionally like us. Or at a professional level, if not financial.
I don't think anybody can describe Open Pike Night more accurately.
Yeah. They do say, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. So, but yeah, I mean, again, you're not incorrect, but like, this is a thing all Star Trek does. Like, it's like you said, it's a sci-fi show. There's going to be over exposition sometimes. And they can't count on everybody watching every episode of every series. Like, we assume that that's how people are because that's how we are. That's how a lot of our callers are.
I haven't.
But John, you have seen most of all of Star Trek. Like, you have seen more of it than you have not seen.
Probably. Yeah.
So,
I think so.
Like, I mean, again, Cameron, I'm not telling you you're wrong. I'm just saying that for me personally, it didn't bump. I didn't bump.
I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you.
And it fits with a pilot attitude, right? Like, they're cocky. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to sit back in that pilot chair, you're going to be cocky about it.
Mm-hmm. I feel like a lot of people, though, have been like, I like this episode, but I liked it. It's not an A+. And I'm just, I felt the same way. I was like, I love a lot of it. Again, the main thrust works 100% for me, but it's not an A+.
I would beg those people to look inward because it's absolutely an A+.
Well, our callers are definitely A+. Let's hear from another one. Here's Melanie.
Hi guys, it's Melanie. I'm still on vacation, but I could not call in. I realized I love most of the episodes this season, all for different reasons, and although this one has not enough Pike in it, like most others, I do love it very much. I guess, it was worth waiting for. I always say I would be a pilot and see parallels to Erica and myself, and gosh, she did great. I was really being there with her, all the way, going down, making water, eating yucky stuff, losing a chess against Liz. Love that name, by the way. I loved this version of Enemy Mine. It was sweet seeing them turn from foes to friends working together. So I was crying in the end when La'an shot Liz. I guess it will change their relationship, and for me it's clear that La'an still has her own trauma with the Gorn. But as you know, I love Chris Pike and adore Anson Mount, and having him pilot his ship through the wormhole, oh my gosh, that will be my favorite scene for a long time. His and Una's conversation as well. Yes, he is a formidable pilot. Anyway, that's my moment. And he knew that Uhura faked the numbers, but allowed it. You really notice he likes Erica a lot and cares about her. I also love Uhura. She is persistent, doesn't want to give up. She and Erica are such great friends. And not for the first time I wonder what will happen to Erica. It was the Matrons! That was really good. I didn't see that coming. And now live long and prosper.
Okay, so if Melanie, the Chief Anson Mount love officer, loves this episode with as little Pike in it as there is, if this were a court of law, I would rest my case. Also, I never told you that I would be a good lawyer. But Melanie did answer one of the questions I put in our call to action. Was this episode worth the wait? And I put that in there because I knew people would have different feelings on it. Some people are going to be hotter on this episode than others. I think it was worth the wait. I would absolutely sit through another 2 seasons of this show to get, and not that I sit through the show, I love the show. But if I had to wait this long to get my second Erica ORTEGAS episode, I'd be happy to do it. Because now they know how to utilize her. They know she can carry an episode on her own, which we've all known all along. But here's their proof. I think it was definitely worth the wait. And I think having to wait so long made me love it more. There's absolutely a universe where an episode centered around Erica comes out and I'm like, really? That's what we got? But this is not that episode for me.
All right, you brought it up, Melanie. I do. Some of these shows really need to put like warnings up ahead, some sort of filters, ratings, because I had to shoo my kid out of the room. I had to cover his eyes when Pike flew that starship into the wormhole because I don't think an anus looks as anusy as that wormhole looked when the Enterprise became a butt plug. It was graphic, disturbing, arousing,
yes. I was gonna say
erotic, fascinating, curious. You can stop me at any time.
This better not awaken anything in me.
It was. I'm surprised no one else has made this connection.
It was definitely a space butthole. Yeah.
Okay. It wasn't just me. Thank you.
I was honestly more distracted by something Melanie talked about that I just don't have a frame of reference for. 3 weeks of vacation? Like she hasn't had to go to work to survive for multiple weeks at a time. Is that normal?
What, does she live in a developed country or something?
Melanie, I'm glad you are enjoying your vacation, and thank you for calling in, as always.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Let's go ahead and hear from Kelly.
Hailing frequencies are open. Greetings, Open Pike. This is Kelly Zent-Georgi, or Moon Newt 9 on Tumblr. An excellent 10-star episode. So wonderful. There were so many references to previous Star Trek episodes and a movie. I first thought of 1985's movie, Enemy Mine, starring Dennis Quaid as the human and Louis Gossett Jr. as the alien, enemy combatants stranded on a planet. Then I thought of Star Trek The Next Generation Season 3 episode, The Enemy, where Geordi is stranded on a hostile planet with an enemy Romulan. There were also hints of Star Trek The Original Series Season 1 episode Galileo 7 regarding conveying a vaccine while the Galileo shuttlecraft is down on a planet, and a reference to Season 2 episode, The Doomsday Machine, the reference to Mac Decker, captain of the constellation. A marvelous episode and a definite acknowledgement to Arena with the arrival of the Metrons. ORTEGAS, we need more Tegas. Yes, we do. Thank you, Open Pike. Hailing frequencies are closed.
It is Galileo 7.
I love our encyclopedic callers.
Yeah.
The one that was 5 references she rattled off, 4 of which are Trek, all of which are correct. And like, thank you, Kelly, very much for just. I mean, and we've heard even more references to that tonight. Like we've said, it is a show that exists in a time, like out of time to other stories we know. And I think they really did a good job of fitting it in.
Yeah.
Of taking the familiar, taking the new, and putting the characters we love into it.
And Cameron, it's not that the Geordi episode is bad. It's just that like all of the stuff on the planet is kind of blah. Like the most enjoyable parts of that episode take place on the Enterprise and the conversations that Picard is having with the other Romulan captain. Like it's not a bad episode. It's just, it didn't matter that it was Geordi down on that planet. Could have been anybody.
I think you literally said it wasn't good, but okay.
Well, yeah, but I was doing that to poke at you.
Yeah.
So do we think, how manipulative do we think the Metrons were? 'Cause it definitely felt like the little shining lights were basically quest markers for Erica to find, or at least like indicating when they were kind of meddling. Like they drew her to Gorntegas' camp. They sucked the shuttle down into the hole. I'm pretty sure they saved their lives at the end. That heat shield did not work.
No. The Metrons kept them alive.
Yeah.
Well, but they kept them alive because the lesson had been learned. Like they were tossing them
the heart shield worked, but not the heat shield.
Right. Poignant, man.
It's just an R. An R is the only difference.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah, see how I did? Okay.
Yeah.
That was good. It didn't rhyme with anything, but but yes, I do really love the like the way that you describe that, John, I think is perfect. Like it exists outside of time. It is standing on the backs of stories that people have seen before. But like a point that I am frequently finding myself making with Strange New Worlds is this is going to be somebody's first Star Trek. And like we know how hard it can be to get somebody to watch a show you want them to watch, like ever. But if you can crack through somebody's heart shield and get them to watch a show with you, this could be somebody's first Enemy Mine situation. Like we don't, like this could be the first.
And they'll watch Enemy Mine and be like, oh, they pulled a Terrarium.
Right. They'll be like, they totally ripped off that show from 30 years in the future.
It's like when Zillennials are like, oh, Nine Inch Nails covered that Johnny Cash song.
Dude.
Why would you even say that?
No, I've had millennials say that. Like, I like the original better. Like, that was the original?
This is our all, well, actually moment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, actually, we have 3 more callers. Here we go. Here is Zoe.
Open Pike Night. This is the USS Cinema. Zoe Richardson, Captain Commanding, also host of Backlit Cinematic Podcast. I have mixed feelings about Terrarium. I find it to be an interesting rehash of the Geordi LaForge Enemy Mine episode. If you hadn't seen the movie Enemy Mine, it's fantastic. And it seems to be the basis of a bunch of Star Trek episodes. And I'm not sure that we needed another one. And this show actually had some pacing issues. I thought that there were some parts of the show that were a little slow. But the thing that made this episode better was the tension that was on the Enterprise as to whether or not to save Lieutenant ORTEGAS. And then there is the tension that was on the planet where ORTEGAS was with her Gorn frenemy, and how they felt like they were being watched, and then at the end of the episode, you had the Metrons make a reappearance. I must say, it was a fabulous effect that they did with the Metrons. My initial thoughts. I feel like I have to let this episode sit with me for a while, and I need to meditate on it. But that's how I feel so far. Richardson out.
Now, I will say, caveat, Zoe did call in a second time with some additional thoughts, but we're going to save that for our post-season Patreon calls for when we do a wrap-up of all the calls that came in late or got missed as we went through this season.
Every episode of Strange New Worlds gets better with repeated watches.
So it absolutely does.
It's going to be
this
fun
one
to look
did
back
too.
at a lot of these. Yeah, I agree.
And Zoe, this will sound confrontational, and I assure you that is not the spirit with which I am asking this question. But yes, we did need another one of these. If we didn't need another one of, air quotes, these, why would they keep making Star Trek, right? Like, every Star Trek is going to hit people differently. It's going to meet some people where they are. It's going to push other folks away. Like, this is the kind of story, especially now, that needs to be told. You need to encourage people to at least attempt empathy. Now, I'm not saying that everyone is earning empathy, right? Because obviously they're not. But the instinct to try to understand somebody you assume is an enemy is an important instinct, and you should at least listen to that. Now, if you get partway down that road and that enemy steals your barbecued grub worm, then yeah, let him be an enemy. But I think this story works because it is a story that is timeless, and that's why the derivation part of it doesn't bother me. Like, I'll watch any version of this story. It doesn't even have to be Star Trek. I'm just here for the friends, enemies to friends arc. I'm happy with that. And again, I'm not challenging you. I'm just telling you how I feel about your question.
It is a trope I love, and it's funny, Zoe, you kind of say, but I like the stuff on the ship, but as we just learned, like, that is just Galileo 7 again. Like, what do we risk to save somebody? I mean, we've seen that trope over and over again, too. So I wonder what it is about each story that makes one feel a little more overtrod and one not. I mean, I do agree with you. There were some pacing issues. I wanted to kind of get into the weeds on this one bit, because ORTEGAS basically says, like, look, there's a giant storm coming. We're all going to die. I need to communicate with my ship. To do that, I need to communicate with you. So I'm going to build this thing and we're going to talk. And she does that and they talk. And it's an amazing scene. Love that scene. Agree, disagree. That whole setup, exquisite. And then they play games. They teach each other games and play games. And then she builds a communication device and says, all right, these batteries got to charge. Seems like that would have been the good time to play the games. Don't know why the games didn't happen after building the satellite array. Like, I was confused by, like, what was important and what had to be achieved when. That was the bit of pacing that I did bump on in the middle.
The games
and like Grayson said, it's
Cameron.
Like, how long is she there? Because some stuff happens that are like, you've been trapped for 2 weeks. You need to play games, not 18 hours kind of thing. But it's an episode of TV. If we had a chance to say, we're going to have one episode of just ORTEGAS and the Gorn, and the next episode is the same story, but just from the ship, then we could have gone deeper into that. Like,
you're writing such good episodes.
but that's the thing is, Alan McElroy wrote a great episode.
Yes.
It's just constrained to a 10. If this were a 26 episode season, that he probably would have pitched that. Like, can I have 2 episodes to tell the same story?
100%.
Yeah.
And I kind of bring up that example because I wonder, because it feels like it was written that way. Like, why even have to charge batteries? Oh, to give them time to, like, hang out and get to know each other. And I wonder if, like, in the edit, they're like, look, emotionally, it's just going to play better this way. It doesn't make as much logical sense, but trust me, emotionally, you're going to connect with these characters. You need to do that in this order, kind of to Jesse's point.
That would be my guess. And the whole point of the games, obviously, right, is that they build trust. Like,
and the games are great. Yeah, I love those.
You're willing to play by the rules. I'm willing to play by the rules, so that you know that when I get this communication thing up, I'm not going to be like, quick, firebomb the Gorn encampment. I'm over here.
Yeah.
But then also she's like, I need your help to build this. And then ORTEGAS doesn't say a single thing while she's building the satellite.
Well, you don't know that. She doesn't speak English.
Her head's down. She's sad.
I can hear the translator. I know she is sad. Oh,
that was.
God, I love that puppet.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the roughest part for me. Like, oh man, sad Gorn. Don't give me that.
She's so forgorn. Oh God, now I'm turning into Jesse.
We cannot get out of this without giving huge props and praise to Warren Shear, the performer of the Gorn character.
Thank you. I
Like,
appreciate you bringing him up. Yeah.
magnificent. I will always cherish you. You have a place in my heart next to Erica Ortegas. Like, this is a skill that not everybody can do, and absolutely nailed it. Like, very happy. I believe Warren played the Gorn at the end of season 2 as well. I'm not 100% on that, but I know that he was, whoever did play that, I think it was Warren, but if it wasn't, that person was also mentioned by name in the Blu-ray extras. You guys, like, I have never made a movie. I made a really good, cool amateur music video once in high school, but there was no...
Why have we not seen this, Jesse?
There were no animatronics.
Patreon exclusive.
I'll legitimately go see if I can find it. Actually,
hell yeah.
Now that I think about it, I made 2 of those, but I will see if I can find them. If I have them, I'm happy to share them. But yeah, it blows my mind when I see this kind of performance come through that kind of prosthetic. Like, this is Doug Jones level of acting, but you don't get the benefit of being able to mostly see his facial muscles, right?
Right. It's half animatronic,
right.
half.
Yeah.
But like, to make me care about a puppet, if you're not Sesame Street, that's an impressive feat.
All right. Well, go ahead and hear from one of our great callers. Here is Abby.
Hey, Open Pike. Abby Summer from the First Flight podcast. Okay, this one was hands down my favorite episode of this season, and in the top 5, perhaps top 3 of the entire series thus far. Navia is a powerhouse, and this is 100% not how I thought this would end her Gorn story, but it's way better than I could have guessed, and was so well done. And her line about not eating the game piece because it's not a food group will live rent-free in my head forever. I also really, really, really like that Erica talks to herself, because I do the same thing, especially when I'm stressed or exhausted or hungry. I literally say it all out loud to myself to keep myself going. So that was really nice to see. I felt seen by her chattering. And the AR wall in this, incredible. Glad they saved the budget for this, and we didn't go to engineering as much because it was worth it. And the score. Come on, they used harps in this one. Fantastic. And her feeling all that guilt, it's so honest. And the scene at the end with her and Erica in her quarters, that's real friends. That's really talking about how you feel about each other. And I loved it. And I also loved that Pike supported her through all of this, even though he knew that she fudged the numbers. And the Metrons, I loved it. Take that, all you canon conforming purists. It's all good now, and they still look straight out of the 60s. And I know people don't like mind wipes, but I didn't read it as that. I read it as, we're going to change how you see the Gorn. So hopefully that's what they did. Hope this finds you well. Talk soon.
Abby, that's brilliant. Maybe that's why the old Gorn that we're so used to looks more human. Oh, you're so
I have
smart.
seen a lot of people confused a lot by what happens at the end of this episode.
Yeah.
So many people don't think Gorntegas was ever there or real.
Okay, I wanted to bring that up because I thought that the first time watching it, that it was just all in her head. Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't entirely sure. I don't know. By the end, by the time the Metrons had explained it, I was like, okay, so she's going to forget the Metrons, but she's going to remember the Gorn. And then at some point, they may have to change their memory of the Gorn. But it sounds like the Strange New Worlds writers don't know if they are done with the Gorn storyline or not. So they're kind of leaving that open. It definitely feels like some writery signposting there.
Well, but we've run into this with the writers a lot before, even with the showrunners, where they're like, look, we know that we have some confines we need to stay in, but we also don't want to paint ourselves into any more corners than we have to. So,
well, it sounds like they had introduced the Gorn, and at first you could be like, okay, yeah, you can sort of square that with Arena, but as much as they used the Gorn in season 2 in the beginning of this, they're like, okay, Kirk would know what a Gorn is. He would have heard that term. He wouldn't be being like, the Metrons call these creatures Gorn or something like that. So obviously they have to memory wipe them all at some point, but they're leaving the door open to keep playing with them a little longer if they want to.
John, they painted themselves into a Gorner. Like, it was right there.
Damn it.
It was right there.
But
Abby,
it was right there.
Me and you, same page, same book. Like, I have to ask, have you ever suddenly noticed that you were talking to yourself because somebody you work with said, "What did you ask?" And you went, "Whoops." Because that has happened to me before, and I completely feel you and agree with you. I felt very seen by this episode, not just because it was the episode I've been asking for 3 freaking years.
Yeah, the arena music cue when ORTEGAS shows up was great. The music is amazing in this episode.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's hear from our last caller tonight. Here is Mariah calling back in.
Hey, Open Pike Night. It is Mariah, and I have watched the ORTEGAS episode. Woo! I actually feel like it worked well at the end of the season because they gave her a real character arc, dealing with the PTSD and having to go back to the basics of survival mode, yes, but also what matters to her. Being the pilot was the thing that connected her to the Gorn, and it was this sense of like, this is something that is integral to who I am, and this seems to be something that is integral to who you are. This is a point of connection for us. I, halfway through, was like, oh my gosh, Erica is having her own Dharmic moment, but frankly, she's like a more interesting character to put in that situation in some ways than Picard, because like she was not guaranteed to get through to this Gorn, and I thought it was really cool that they gave her that opportunity. And then the hand waviness. Strange New Worlds, I was with you on the Gorn. I was like ready for a tenuous thread to be connected to canon, and we all just kind of squint and hope for the best, and I am not here for it. I'm so frustrated by the amount of hand waving of, we may have to reset what you think of the Gorn. No! They could have just even had the Metrons and been like, you won't remember this. That one line was like, come on, you guys. Thanks as always.
So it does bring up the question of, thank you, Mariah, for that. And it is a conversation a lot of people are having, like, oh, this is how they're dovetailing into Arena. But it's like, imagine the actual consequences of that. And I hope this is the last we hear of it in Strange New Worlds. I hope there is not the reset that happens, because that would eliminate La'an's entire life story for the first half of her life. Like, can you imagine, like, first off, the Metrons would either have to completely hollow out some characters that we know and love, or do a lot of work to billions of people across the galaxy to make the Gorn rubber-suited, slow-walking, bad fighters. But, like, I hope we do not hear anything more about this. That it's just like, that was it. That's how we get to Arena. Use, whatever.
I totally read it as dark. This is how we get to Arena. Like, like he didn't say we're definitely going to wipe your whole species memory, but let you keep this for yourself. Like, he said, we may end up having to do something. I feel like that's the rest of that sentence is, or we'll just try again with another person and another Gorn another time. Like, because it's clear that they have some kind of like scientific interest in getting species to understand one another. So, I mean, however you take it, obviously, is fully valid. Personally, I read it as them going like, we're going to have to give this another shot. And the next shot is Arena. So it didn't bump me, but different things will bump people at different rates, obviously.
Okay, avoiding the sex joke. Am I the only person watching this episode and going, how is she able to breathe on this moon? It's a moon that travels through a gas giant's atmosphere, so I don't know how this moon has any atmosphere, but especially when they ignite the atmosphere and burn it all off the planet, everyone's breathing just fine. I get it, but I don't get it.
Yes,
Metrons?
You are the only person. Yeah, to John's point, it's the Metrons, man. They brought them there. They kept them alive so they could do their experiment.
Well,
they're magic.
Even ORTEGAS says like, the air is breathable-ish. I feel like breathable-ish means it's not breathable. Like, breathing is not something you can kind of fudge.
I took that as she thinks that it smells bad.
That's exactly how I took it too. Like, it smells bad and there's a bunch of dust out there.
Right. Like, if you're near a volcano, that's technically breathable-ish, right? Like, don't do it for too long and it's going to smell bad. But, yeah, I mean, for me, there were no bumps. I'm not telling other people they shouldn't have bumps. I was very happy, except when Una celebrated that they saved Erica. My note says, "You shut up, Una. You do not get to celebrate."
What kind of episode would it have been if, like, when they saved Erica, Una was just like, humph, and walked away?
The episode.
Is that what you wanted, Jesse?
It would be the episode that I wrote. No, look, like, I can't stress this enough. I'm so happy that the show is making me feel ways about the characters. Like, even if it's like irrational anger at Una, I'm happy to have that. Like, and I really hope nobody takes that in any way as an indictment of Rebecca Romijn's performance or her talent or anything like that, because she's absolutely a movie star. There's a reason they hired her. She's very, very good at acting. I reserve the right, when consuming my fiction, to feel ways about stuff, and I'm not always going to use rationality to choose which direction to lean.
As long as you're mad at Una and not Rebecca Romijn, that is fine. It's just fine. Like, yeah. I like this episode because with the Ortegas-Gorntegas relationship, it could have been so many different things. Like, you know, you can choose. I did, like like Cam mentioned, I did think for a while, is this Gorn real? Is this all in Ortegas' head? Mm-hmm. And then we got to the heat shield part. I'm like, is La'an going to come and pull away the heat shield and find Ortegas and then just a carbonized Gorn body? Are the Metrons going to just send the Gorn home? Like, it could have gone so many different ways and still had the same impact. But I do think having La'an shoot the Gorn at the end gave us the amazing delivery from Melissa with, you know, she was my friend. La'an is also my friend. Like, it hit hard.
And her scream.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the fact that it was so quick. I don't want to talk
to you right now. It's like, oh, I've said that to when I'm mad at my kids. Like, look, I love you, but yeah, I'm going to be over here for a little bit.
Right. And I do like with, you know, all our questions about why is La'an armed? Why did this situation happen? I like that it happened fast. It wasn't Ortegas is like, oh, I'm safe. Thank God, you got to beat my friend. And then, you know, like there's no chance that Ortegas could have stopped what happened. It was bound to happen the minute La'an stepped onto that transporter pad with a phaser rifle. That Gorn was dead. So I'm glad they did. It wasn't a trope of no, that's not the monster, that's my friend kind of thing. It was just like, whoa, you know, sudden and shocking violence. I think had more of an impact at the end than more of a tropey type.
And she would have had to say monster for La'an to understand.
Yeah.
I didn't understand what you were saying.
Yeah.
Erica.
Oh, were you trying to say monster?
What's a monster? Yeah.
What's a monster?
Well, you guys have any final notes before we get to our song picks for this episode?
I think we got them all. Again, very good episode.
Yeah.
I had some nitpicks, but they are nitpicks.
We nitpick every episode. I mean, I don't think there's been one where like I have absolutely no problem whatsoever.
I have one more note.
Do it.
Because afterwards, everyone was like, Division 12. Ooh, what's Division 12? And I was like, what is Division 12? I don't remember Division 12. I went back and watched our screener. It doesn't say Division 12 in the screener. That's the one difference between the screeners and the final releases I've noticed so far. So I feel that was put in afterwards because they're going to do something with the Division 12 at some point, and they wanted to lay some breadcrumbs. And I may have a theory I will reveal at the end of the finale.
The other thing, Cam, that line is not part of the subtitles, even on Paramount Plus. So it was added late. Very late. Like, Melissa, please come to the studio. We need you to do ADR today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is it, but I mean, this will come into my theory, but is it a season 4 or a season 5 thing? It must be season 5.
It's got to be season 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've made some decisions about the end of this show. And that line is our first real hint.
Makes me
okay,
think.
now I have a separate theory, but yeah.
It's a pitch for a
Jesse's
new show.
Right. Ooh.
Fingers crossed. All right, John, bring us home.
All right. Well, each host does pick a song that we feel best represents this episode. And last week, I believe Cam went first.
I believe so.
So I think it's already back around to me going first again. So let's do it. I wanted to pick a song I've already picked. I had a very hard time.
Me too, John. I wanted to pick that song too.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Well, there are some... It's a great song, but so I decided to go with the band at least. So I picked a song by Ladytron.
Oh.
And I picked Destroy Everything You Touch with lyrics like destroy everything you touch today, destroy me this way. Ortegas literally destroys everything she touches in this episode. I mean, like, as a joke, it is as a joke, but it's like, yeah, that shuttle gets destroyed, the Gorn's equipment. Like, she destroys everything she touches.
Destroy everything you touch today. Destroy me this way. Anything that may desert you, so it cannot hurt you.
You only have to look behind you at who's undermined you. The Metrons, everything going on, that little light blinking in the background with them all the time. Everything you touch, you don't feel, do not know what you steal. She steals the Gorn's equipment, shakes your hand, takes your gun, walks you out of the sun. I just really feel like this song embodies pretty well. I wish I could have used Burning Up by Ladytron. I already used that for one of our Discovery seasons. There are some good lines in that, but honestly, I think this does fit a little better. So I'm going with Destroy Everything You Touch by Ladytron.
Let me be the first to say, John, I respect you for not picking the same song again.
Thank you. I picked Faith by Limp Bizkit. And
I really wanted to use Wearing This Together by Nine Inch Nails, but I've already used like 3 John picks this season, so I didn't.
Yeah, that would have been good too.
Nice, would have been real good. Instead, I picked a song I kind of know, but by a band I love, the Yeah Yeah Yeahs.
Oh,
Burning.
Took me over like a fever. Caught you hiding in the smoke, smoke, smoke. Like a meteor, I'll glow, glow, glow.
Lots of burning talk in it, but there is the line, well, I'll release her from the bindings of her teachers. What they're hiding there is broke, broke, broke. Like the river Styx, I flow, flow, flow. So she, Ortegas thinks she's broken, and that's what her culture has taught her, but Ortegas is there to tell her no, she'll free her from that. But of course, in the end, she just leads her to her death.
Yeah. Good pick. Yeah, are always a great pick.
I am a fan.
Interesting moment here where I think all of our songs kind of line up, and we did not even talk about how Ortega set this whole effing planet on fire just to tell people where she is. So thankfully, we got some of that thematic material in our song picks, and possibly nowhere more so than my song pick for this week, with lyrics like, I need a short-term fix for a long-term problem. Can I learn to love these chains?
Fix for a long-term problem. Can I learn to love these chains? I know I had a point, but now I forgot it. Well, I'm circling the drain. No, I can't stop feeling like every day's
I know I lost my voice when I let the rod in, but hard truth cuts both ways. It starts with a spark, then it's a wildfire, burning me up, a dance with demons on a high wire, lift me up, lifting me up. My song this week is called Wildfire by A Day to Remember. It really seems to fit for me. Like, Ortegas shows up, she's got all these short-term fixes, but her long-term problem is survival. And she has these chains of this encounter with the Gorn really holding her down. And she's not letting her Starfleet heart shine through. She's operating in prejudice. And she learns to get past that for the sake of a shared goal. And that she lights the whole freaking planet on fire, and it's amazing.
I did really want to pick I See Fire by Ed Sheeran from The Desolation of Smog, but other than the refrain, it really doesn't work at all.
But I do like Ed Sheeran.
There's not much of the Sons of Durin in this episode.
No, they were there in the background. We just didn't get to. Yeah, their scenes got.
They were actually the Metrons.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say they got caught in the planetary fire.
Yeah.
Well, those are excellent song picks. We'll be sure to add those to our playlist for this season. Man, we have one episode left, guys. One episode.
I know.
Yeah.
And we have all seen this episode already.
I've already. Yeah, I have another year until I get to see any new Strange New Worlds already.
I was thinking, like, should we do an episode where we have people send us their predictions? But then I remembered there is no way in hell we can fit that into our production schedule, so we're not going to do that. But we will have a season reaction recap review at the end where you can send in your thoughts about, all of the stuff that you felt about the season. Maybe now by then you've watched it twice. I don't know. But there will be more Open Pike Night even after next week. Worry not, good listener.
Yes, we'll be talking to more creators. We'll be having our retrospective episode we've got planned. We've got some other interviews planned and other ones we expect to happen. So there will be plenty of coverage for a bit. Indeed.
Absolutely.
Also, at the time of recording, we are 2 days away from the release of the Con podcasts. I don't know that we'll have extensive coverage of that, but I will absolutely be listening to it. So if you need somebody to talk to about it, I'll probably build a channel for it in our Discord. And who knows, maybe something will come out of it. We don't know.
I'm excited for that. I'm glad you told me that, Jesse, because I was not aware that was 2 days away from coming out.
Yeah, I know that.
I knew it was soon. I didn't know it was that soon.
I know Paramount's really good at advertising their stuff.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
But in this one instance,
it's a Star Trek podcast. Like, all of my social feeds should be feeding this straight into my eyeballs.
I have to give credit to Admiral Funnest Frontier, who is a beacon of light in the Star Trek social media universe. He had mentioned this, and I was like, oh, that's happening that soon. Let me go get subscribed to it right now, which you can do. They do have a little preview episode. You can lock it into your feed so that you don't even have to think about it when it starts happening.
There we go. Well, we do have another caller who lent their voices to our closing, so let's go ahead and hear from Lucy. Here we go.
Hi, Open Pike Night listeners. Lieutenant Lucy of London here.
Hey there, Open Pike Night listeners. It's Platy-M3 here.
Have you guys ever thought about calling in and being part of the show yourself? It's dead easy. All you have to do is go to openpike.com, hit the place where it says record your message. You can use your phone. So easy. And you'll be part of the show. If, however, you want a bit more time, plan yourself, talk at double speed, edit things, you can send in an MP3 and the guys will use it or maybe montage you. But anyway, you'll still be part of the show. They're available on all social media platforms, so just look them out and you'll be part of the show and join the family.
Finally, if you're all caught up on Open Pike Night episodes and are fine just tossing Jesse aside, but still need more Cameron and producer John in your life, you should check out their other podcast, Green Shirt, A Newbie's Trek Through the Next Generation. Although the show name is now completely a misnomer, you can hear Cameron experience TNG-related content for the first time, along with producer John, Rob, and Bobby. They have finished all of TNG and the movies, but after a brief summer separation, they are continuing on with their mini Deep Space Nine episodes and plowing Saucer Section first into Star Trek Picard. Good luck with that one.
Yeah, you've been montaged, but have you been montaged by Open Pike Night?
Even Rocky had a montage.
Exactly. We do try and rotate our montages and our whole calls. Montages take a decent amount of work. More work than I thought at first. One last thing, I was a guest on Caller Newman's show Movies for Days, where we discussed Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, that has released at the time of this. So go ahead and check that out. Check out Newman's show. It's really fun to go get to talk to him about different stuff. This was my first non-Western. So thank you all very much for calling. Thank you all very much for listening. Thank you all very much for enjoying Star Trek Strange New Worlds and joining us on Open Pike Night to discuss it. We have to go get ready for the final episode for 2025 of Strange New Worlds. So be sure to clean up after yourselves. Be sure to tip your servers. You can go anywhere you want, but you can't stay here.
Because we're lighting it on fire.